be asking the crowd to ask you about Jon. Is that somebody is he starting to get under your skin a little bit? Is he starting to bug you?
Not under my skin. It's just you know, it all, you know, when it's like a lot of times, like we have, you know, a lot of these issues arrive, and people ask me questions about them, and I answer them honestly, and I always show them a ton of respect and everything, but then I say it in an open forum where everybody can see it, but then he kind of does it in an open forum, which is Twitter, but without the intention. He wants someone else to tell me, instead of him just say, hey Daniel, get your butt to work and start losing weight so we can fight. He'll just put it out there without tagging me. It's not getting under my skin.
So what's the ultimate plan? Because you mentioned, you know, maybe a heavyweight fight next, and then, but you still want to be at 205 by the end of the year. I mean,
yes.
So what's the whole plan?
So this is it. I'm telling you, like, so before, you know, I've always kind of been, well, you know, when I do. Well, the truth of the matter is I am. You know, it's no when I do, if I am. It's a matter of getting down there and doing it the correct way. So all I'm doing is I'm going to try to get to fight down there, and you know, hopefully it doesn't affect me very much in terms of the way I fight. But I want to fight because I don't want to sit on the shelf. You know, I went through 18 months with one fight after I fought Bigfoot and broke my hand. You know, so I don't want to be an actor. You know, I've only been fighting for so long, and I lost a year with the broken hand, the hand injury. So if I've been fighting for 4 years, I lost that third year because I couldn't do very much. So I just want to be active. I just want to fight someone on the way down.
What about Josh Barnett? He's coming to the UFC. Would you consider a rematch with him?
That's what they told me to fight, yes. I mean, if they told me to fight Josh, yeah. Josh brought the best in me. You know, he made me fight at a level that I've never fought at before. But, you know, I think there are probably different plans for him right now than to rematch me. We fought, what was it, just a year ago. So it's not like there's been much time passed since our last fight.
You also talked about Verdun and Garrett and wanting to face the winner of that. What about those guys intrigues you?
Well, I mean, again, you know, like you'll hear. It's like what I said, but it was because of the question that was asked before. You know, I mean, I don't. It's not them in particular. You know, it was like, well, Verdun and the question was kind of like Verdun and Nogueira have a fight. You know, the winner of that fight, would that interest you? Yeah, of course, that's a big fight. You know, so if you said, well, another guy's fighting another guy, would that interest you? Probably so, because it's a big fight. You know, so it's like you'll answer a question and then it'll kind of be. You'll see it in an article, and it'll be something a little different than what it was, you know. But I mean, obviously, I think they're both great fighters, you know, if we were to fight. But if it wasn't them, then okay, it's going to be someone else. So you ask me a question, I answer the question, and then I'll say yes, whatever it is.
Some unfortunate issues.
I got the wrong T-shirt on, boy. Sponsor might get a little mad at me. Jeez, what was I thinking?
I'm wondering about that.
Cage Fighter is my sponsor, just so you guys know. Hey, Mike.
I was just wondering if being what happened in Oklahoma recently with the tornadoes, if you have made any visits back, or if you know anyone back there, and maybe how that's affected you personally, and if you have plans to do anything down in the community there.
Yeah, you know, it was very sad to see, you know, anytime there's a tragedy like that, you know, we, just as human beings, it really does tug at your heart, you know. So, and then, you know, me lived in Oklahoma for 10 years, it was sad. So I started calling my family. I still have quite a bit of family there. And then you start to plan, you know, what can I do to help? You know, if you love a community, you try and find a way. So what I did with my sponsor, Cage Fighter, we created a shirt. It says "Pray for Oklahoma," and we're taking the shirt, selling them, and all the proceeds are going to the victims of that terrible accident or incident. And it's doing well. So, you know, like the people, like, you know, the care in the heart of people, it shows, because it doesn't take long from to see a cause, jump behind it and start doing what they can do to help. So it's doing good, and we're just going to continue to print them. As long as people are buying them, we'll print them, and then we'll keep sending that money over. You know, you can get them on cfathletic.com, or you can go to alliseeisgold.com. So pick up those T-shirts. You know, help our you know, fellow humans when they're in need. You know, so and then actually I'm gonna, you know, when we start sending the checks, I'll write some checks of my own too. Not big, but they'll be okay.
What do you anticipate to see tonight from your training partner, Cain Velasquez, in the fight versus Bigfoot?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't.
What do you expect?
What am I expecting?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Listen, in our gym, we have so much confidence in each other that you only expect the guys to win. You know, not only do I expect Cain to win, I expect Khabib to win. I expect Gray Maynard to win, and it's because we see how these guys train day to day. You know, so anything less than them being successful and doing it in an impressive way, it's not a disappointment because as long as you win, it's good. You know, so I expect Cain to look good, man. This guy's a competitor. He loves to fight, and he's a champion for a reason.
How do you feel about the progress right now to save the Olympic wrestling? You know, the changes that they implemented and what's going on. Are you encouraged by what you see?
Very encouraged. You see that wrestling now is moving in the right direction. You know, it's an old sport and it's stayed an old sport. You know, like when you go to the NCAA tournament, or you know, prime example of how the sport. Gray Maynard's dad, he started going to the NCAA tournament with the same group of guys in like 1970. He's never missed, and it's those same 4 guys. So now, but that's how most of the wrestling crowd is, you know, older people, and it just doesn't change. You know, you've talked to you go to tell your grandmother to do something different, and tell her, no, you got to use this computer, or just get rid of the little. Don't tell your grandmother to get rid of her house phone. See what happens, right?
Right.
It's hard to change. You know, people don't want to change, especially older people, and that's kind of the wrestling culture. You know, they didn't want to change, but now they're embracing it. And as you see, there's more media on it. We've got a legitimate star in Jordan Burroughs, and we had the event in Los Angeles. That was 4,000 or 5,000 people there, and I heard they got rid of 5,000 tickets because the Iranians pulled out. It was going to be 10,000 people in there with the Iran team in there. You know, there was a big Iranian community in Los Angeles. And then Beat the Streets in New York City did real well. It was on national television as it was going on live. So it's going well. I mean, does that mean it's going to get back into the games? Not sure, but I know that they're going in the right direction.
2 more, guys. Plus, amateur wrestling serves as a great feeder to mixed martial arts. If you look at, I would say there's no better way for a young kid who wants to get into MMA than an organized, you know, through their high school or college. So our futures are directly tied together.
Exactly. And you know what? Even if there wasn't to be no Olympic wrestling would still move on because of mixed martial arts. You're right. Kids do know now that in order to be Cain Velasquez, George St. Pierre, those guys, you have to know how to wrestle. Jon Jones, you have to know how to wrestle. So even if the sport was to not get put back in the games, I think at the grassroots it's going to continue to grow because it's blowing it up, man. The numbers have never been higher in kids.
I'd actually seen recently that you've done a lot with the youth out here in your visit to Las Vegas. What specifically have you been working with in the community as far as the youth programs here?
We went to an elementary school the other day for their career day, and it was good. You know, they had firemen, and they had one guy had a bird that was talking. They had a nurse, they had a doctor. And then it was me and Phil Davis. And I was like, man, we don't belong here. But, you know, the kids loved it, man. We had fun with them. They asked some interesting questions about fighting, you know. I asked the kids, I said, so, I fight for the UFC. I go, this is a multiple choice test, right? Whoever wins gets a autograph picture. I said, the UFC stands for A, the Ultimate Frisbee Championships, Ultimate Fingernail Clipping Championships, and they were all like, these are like second graders, first graders, and everybody's kind of sitting there, they're just throwing it out there. None of them got it. None of them got it, but it was cool. You know? They did all of the above, none of the above. One little girl went, none of the above? She won an autograph. She just guessed. It was like me when I took my test. You know, I'm just like, man, I don't know this answer. I'm just gonna go with none of the above. That's the setting you always go back to. Pick E.
That's it.
There's a pretty good chance that it might be right.
Thanks, DC.
All right, thanks guys.